The following was originally written by Redditor CMVR 2256. He was 12 at the time. His brother was 26. They were on their third night in the woods when two strangers wandered into camp, asking if they had seen any wild hogs. In fact, he and his brother had seen some, because wild hogs were very common in the area, and they told the strangers where they were, where they had last seen these animals. The two guys hung around for a bit longer, then left. They gave everyone a weird vibe, but neither he or his brother thought much of it. Went to sleep. Sometime near midnight, we were woke up by the sound of shouting and dogs barking. The sounds seemed to be very close, only about 100 yards away. His brother heard the dogs too, but said it was probably the guys from before. It's common for the use of dogs to hold down hogs when hunting. Hunting for hogs at night is definitely strange. At least that's a rational explanation, right? Fast forward to probably 2 in the morning. I had managed to sleep pretty well after hearing the hog hunters when I woke up to my brother squeezing my shoulder firmly, saying, "Wake up, put your shoes on quick and follow me. Be as quiet as you can." They climbed over the hill overlooking the campsite and hid in some bushes, watching. A group of hunters had been steadily approaching our camp, and by the last 30 minutes or so had reached it. There seemed to be like 5 of them, and like 3 or 4 dogs. They all looked relatively young, but had either rifles or shotguns, and the dogs were going crazy, obviously had smelt our scent. We laid there for a while longer, when out of nowhere they just started screaming, "Where y'all at?" and firing into the woods at random. Brother dragged me behind the crest of the hill and threw himself on top of me. Thankfully, in our position on the hill, we were protected from any gunfire. They shot 5 or 6 more times, and then they started walking back the direction they had came. Turns out my brother had called the Forest Service office on a satellite phone my family has for emergencies while I was sleeping, and they had sent out Forest Service officers. They never found out if the hunters were ever caught. The following was written by Redditor Lady Ermi. She was backpacking through Asia. She was supposed to take a plane from Malaysia to Singapore to start the next leg of the trip, but missed her flight and had to take a bus instead. It was dirty, covered in cockroaches, but she figured she could deal with it for a few hours. The man next to me was Asian, around late 30s to early 40s. He was very interested in me, asking me many questions about where I was going. I told him Singapore. Was I alone? Where was I staying? How old was I? If I had a boyfriend? Seems he wanted to play a game of 20 questions. I made awkward small talk, just to be polite, making up a fictional boyfriend. Eventually it got late, and we both tried to get some sleep. Fear of the cockroaches kept me awake though. I spent at least an hour or so just lying there with my eyes closed, attempting to sleep. I felt something brush up against my left thigh. I ignored it, since maybe it was just an accident. Maybe his hand had got slippery from the armrest, and I felt it again, squeezing my leg. Then I had moved to my right thigh. Not an accident. I managed to get a tiny bit of sleep, then woke at 6:30 in the morning when the bus stopped. The man shook my shoulder and told me, "Come on, get out, it's Singapore." Hopped off the bus and went up to the bus conductor to get my luggage. Luckily for me, he remembered I was traveling to Singapore and he told me to get back on the bus. This was still Malaysia. We hadn't crossed the border yet. Singapore was the next stop. I turned around to see the man staring at me with a group of other men about to get on the bus. As we drove away, I had to wonder if he had done that deliberately. Then I remembered that I had told him Singapore was my destination the night before, and he knew that this wasn't Singapore. I contemplated that the story almost ended with, and no one ever saw her again.